February 19, 1945. Dawn breaks over Iwo Jima. The island shouldn't matter. 8 square miles of volcanic rock, sulfur vents, and black sand sitting 660 miles south of Tokyo. No fresh water. No natural harbor. No civilian population. Just Mount Suribachi, a 550-foot dormant volcano squatting on the southern tip like a malformed fist thrust from the sea. But it does matter because Iwo Jima sits directly on the flight path between the Mariana Islands and Japan. American B-29 super fortresses have been pounding Japanese cities since November 1944, flying 3,000-mile round trips from Saipan and Tinian. The bombers fly without fighter escort, P-51. Mustangs lack the range. Damaged B-29s limp home over open ocean with no emergency landing strip. Japanese fighters based on Iwo Jima intercept the bomber streams. Japanese radar on Iwo Jima provides 2 hours advance warning to Tokyo. The Joint Chiefs want Iwo Jima neutralized. Better yet, captured. Turn the island into an emergency airfield for crippled bombers. Base P-51s there for escort missions. Cut the warning time to 0. The U.S. Navy has been hammering Iwo Jima for months. 74 consecutive days of airstrikes, longer than any other Pacific target. Battleships and cruisers pummel the island with 14-inch and 16-inch shells. Pilots report entire hillsides collapsing under the bombardment. Photo reconnaissance shows cratered moonscapes where Japanese positions used to be. Navy commanders assure Marine planners the pre-invasion bombardment will be devastating. The island will be neutralized. Resistance will be light. They are catastrophically wrong. The problem isn't the bombing. The problem is what the Japanese have built underneath. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi arrived on Iwo Jima in June 1944, 53 years old. Cavalry officer, veteran of the Manchurian campaigns. He'd served as military attaché in Washington and Ottawa in the 1920s, spoke English, understood Americans, respected their industrial capacity and firepower. Kuribayashi surveyed Iwo Jima and saw what everyone else saw. Indefensible. The island is a volcanic wasteland shaped like a pork chop, tilted northeast. The southern end, narrow, dominated by Suribachi. The northern end, a plateau of rocky ridges, ravines, and gorges. The center, 2 airfields already built, a third under construction. Black volcanic sand everywhere, so loose that vehicles sink to their axles. Sulfur vents leaking poisonous gas. Summer temperatures exceeding 110 degrees in the shade. Except there is no shade. Most Japanese commanders would have fortified the beaches, placed artillery to sweep the landing zones, prepared banzai charges to drive the Americans back into the sea. This was standard doctrine. This was how Tarawa and Saipan were defended. Kuribayashi rejected all of it. No beach defenses. No banzai charges. No wasted suicidal glory. Instead, he ordered his 21,000 men to dig. Not trenches, tunnels, not foxholes, fortresses. He transformed Iwo Jima into a subterranean labyrinth designed for one purpose: inflict maximum American casualties over maximum time. The island's volcanic rock was perfect for tunneling. Soft enough to excavate with hand tools and explosives, hard enough to withstand naval bombardment. Kuribayashi's engineers carved 11 miles of tunnels into Iwo Jima's interior, some passages 3 stories deep. They connected natural caves into defensive networks. They built command posts 75 feet underground with multiple entrances and ventilation shafts. Every position was mutually supporting. Bunkers were camouflaged and reinforced with steel doors salvaged from ships. Artillery pieces were mounted on rails inside caves. Fire, roll back into the mountain, reload, roll forward, fire again. Impossible to suppress. Machine gun nests were positioned to create interlocking fields of fire with overlapping kill zones. Mortar pits were pre-sighted on every yard of the beaches and inland terrain. Kuribayashi forbade his men from firing on the invasion fleet until the Marines were ashore and committed. Let them land. Let them push inland. Then open fire from positions they cannot see and cannot destroy. He wrote to his wife, "Do not expect my return." To his men he issued orders. Every soldier will kill 10 Americans before dying. No retreats, no surrenders. Turn every cave into a tomb. Make the enemy pay in blood for every foot of ground. The Americans have no idea what's waiting. Marine intelligence estimates Japanese strength at 13,000 troops, 8,000 fewer than actual numbers. They predict the island will fall in 5 days. Some optimistic planners say 4. The V Amphibious Corps assigns the mission to 3 Marine divisions, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 70,000 Marines in the initial assault waves. Naval gunfire support from 6 battleships, 4 heavy cruisers, destroyers, and minesweepers. Carrier air support from 16 escort carriers. The plan is simple. Land on the southeast beaches, 2 miles of volcanic sand below Suribachi. The 5th Marine Division will wheel left and isolate the volcano. The 4th Marine Division will drive straight across the island to the eastern shore, cutting Iwo Jima in half. Then both divisions pivot north and crush remaining resistance against the 3rd Division, pushing south from reserve positions. 5 days, maybe 4, but Kuribayashi isn't defending beaches. He's defending 8 square miles of volcanic rock, honeycombed with tunnels, bunkers, and firing positions invisible from the air and impervious to naval shells. He's created a killing field where every advantage belongs to the defender, and the Marines are about to step directly into it. The digging began in June 1944 and never stopped. Kuribayashi drove his men mercilessly. Officers and enlisted men worked side by side, picks, shovels, explosives. They carved through volcanic rock in 120-degree heat with sulfur fumes burning their lungs. Men collapsed from heat stroke. Some died from gas poisoning in poorly ventilated tunnels. Kuribayashi didn't care. Dig faster. Dig deeper. He knew time was against him. American forces had taken Saipan in July. The Marianas were lost. Iwo Jima was next. Everyone knew it. The only question was when. So he transformed the island into something the Americans had never encountered. Mount Suribachi became a fortress within a fortress. Engineers blasted 7 levels of tunnels into the volcano, some descending 90 feet. The main tunnel network included a command post, ammunition storage, hospital facilities, and living quarters for 1,000 men. Artillery bunkers were carved into the slopes with firing apertures facing every direction. Some positions were reinforced with 3 feet of concrete and covered with steel plates. Observation posts on the summit provided unobstructed views of the entire island and surrounding ocean, but Suribachi was just the anchor. The real masterpiece was the northern plateau. Kuribayashi divided the island's defenses into sectors, each designed to funnel American forces into predetermined kill zones. He identified every ravine, every ridge, every depression in the volcanic terrain, and incorporated them into interlocking defensive belts. The tunnels weren't random. They were deliberate infrastructure. Main corridors connected strong points across hundreds of yards. Side passages linked firing positions. Vertical shafts provided ventilation and emergency exits. Some tunnels had electric lighting powered by generators. Others had rail systems for moving ammunition and wounded men. Kuribayashi's headquarters, deep under the northern plateau, had reinforced concrete walls, multiple entrances, and communication lines to every sector. Individual fighting positions were engineered for maximum lethality and survivability. A typical bunker was reinforced with coconut logs, steel rails, concrete, and sandbags. Layered construction that could absorb direct hits from 500-pound bombs. Firing ports were narrow slits barely visible from outside. Some bunkers had multiple chambers connected by tunnels, allowing defenders to shift positions after firing. Machine gun nests were positioned in defilade, hidden from direct fire, but offering clear fields of fire across approaches. Artillery was Kuribayashi's obsession. He had approximately 361 artillery pieces and 65 mortars, impressive firepower for an island this size. But placement was everything. He scattered them across the island in camouflaged positions, many inside caves with retractable doors. Coastal defense guns were positioned to fire not at ships, but at beaches after the landing. Anti-aircraft guns were retasked as direct-fire weapons against infantry and tanks. Mortars were pre-registered on every likely approach, every gap in the terrain, every choke point. He created what modern military theorists would call a defense in depth, layered defensive belts designed to slow, channel, and destroy attacking forces through cumulative attrition. The first belt ran along the beach terraces, light resistance to draw Marines inland. The second belt centered on the unfinished Airfield No. 2, dug-in positions with interlocking fire. The third belt, the strongest, covered the northern plateau where the terrain itself became a weapon. This wasn't desperation. This was calculated genius. Kuribayashi had studied American amphibious doctrine. He knew the Marines relied on overwhelming firepower, rapid maneuver, and aggressive assault tactics. He knew they expected banzai charges, screaming Japanese soldiers rushing machine guns in suicidal waves. He knew American doctrine assumed Japanese defenders would crack under sustained bombardment and close combat, so he denied them every expectation. He issued orders forbidding banzai charges. Every man would fight from prepared positions, retreat only when a position became untenable, then fall back to the next prepared position. Conserve ammunition. Make every shot count. Aim for officers and NCOs. Target radio operators and medics. Shoot Marines carrying flamethrowers and satchel charges before they close within range. When American tanks advanced, let them pass over hidden spider holes, then attack from behind with magnetic mines and close assault tactics. When Marines called in artillery or air strikes, stay deep in the tunnels until the bombardment lifted, then emerge and reoccupy fighting positions before the assault resumed. Kill zones were designed with brutal precision. A Marine squad advancing through a ravine would receive fire from 3 directions simultaneously: machine guns from concealed bunkers on the flanks, mortars from reverse slopes, rifle fire from spider holes in front and behind. The Marines would go to ground, call for support, suppress the visible positions. But the Japanese would already be shifting through tunnels to alternate firing positions. The Marines would advance again, and the killing would resume from different locations. Kuribayashi forbade radio transmissions that could be intercepted. Runners carried messages through the tunnels. He banned cooking fires that would reveal positions. Ammunition and water were stockpiled in every strong point, enough for weeks of fighting. Medical supplies were cached throughout the tunnel networks. He even stored sake and cigarettes to maintain morale during the inevitable siege. The general understood he couldn't win. Reinforcements weren't coming. Air support didn't exist. Naval support was long gone. Iwo Jima was 660 miles from Japan, too far for resupply, too isolated for relief, but he could make victory. So expensive that the Americans would reconsider invading Japan itself. He calculated it precisely in his orders: 21,000. Japanese defenders must kill 210,000. Americans before the island fell 10-1. The arithmetic of desperation. Transformed into doctrine, his senior officers objected. Traditional samurai honor demanded glorious death in combat, not hiding in caves. Banzai charges were spiritual imperatives, not tactical errors. Some officers protested that Kuribayashi's orders were cowardice dressed as strategy. He silenced them with cold logic. Tarawa fell in 3 days, 4,700 Japanese dead, 3,400 American casualties. Saipan fell in 3 weeks, 30,000 Japanese dead, 13,000 American casualties. Peleliu took 2 months, 10,900 Japanese dead, 19,800 American casualties. Iwo Jima would be different. Not because Japanese soldiers were braver or better armed, but because the island itself would fight. Every cave, every tunnel, every yard of volcanic rock purchased with American blood. By February 1945, Kuribayashi's underground empire was complete. 11 miles of tunnels, 1,500 cave positions, 600 pillboxes and bunkers, artillery sighted on every approach, kill zones mapped and rehearsed, ammunition stockpiled, water rationed, men prepared to die slowly instead of gloriously. The American bombardment began on February 16th, 3 days of intensive naval gunfire. Battleships hurled shells the size of small cars. Cruisers and destroyers pounded suspected positions. Carrier aircraft dropped bombs and napalm. Kuribayashi ordered his men underground. Stay in the tunnels. Don't return fire. Let them waste ammunition on empty positions. The Marines watched the bombardment from their transport ships and felt confident. The island looked destroyed. Intelligence reported decreased radio traffic, evidence the Japanese were crippled. Some Marines joked they'd be back on ship in time for dinner. They had no idea they were about to assault the most sophisticated fortress in the Pacific. At 6:45 a.m., February 19, 1945, the bombardment lifts. Carrier aircraft make final strafing runs across the southern beaches. Naval guns shift fire inland. The invasion is on Amtraks. Amphibious tractors churn through the surf, carrying the first assault waves. Each vehicle holds 20 Marines plus crew. The plan calls for 8 waves hitting the beach in the first 45 minutes. 30,000 men coming ashore on a 2-mile front. The beaches are color-coded. Green beach on the far left, below Suribachi's eastern slope. Red beach and yellow beach in the center. Blue beach on the right, near the base of the rock quarry. Each beach is maybe 300 yards wide. Behind them, a terrace of volcanic ash rises 15 feet, the first obstacle. The Marines expect resistance, artillery, machine guns, maybe some scattered rifle fire from survivors of the bombardment. They get silence. The first Amtraks grind onto the beach. Marines pour out and begin moving inland. The volcanic sand is worse than anyone predicted. It's not sand, it's ash. Fine black powder that swallows boots to the ankles. Every step is exhausting. Men struggle up the terrace, equipment weighing them down. Some Marines sink to their knees. Still no fire. More Amtraks hit the beach. More Marines push inland. Engineers start clearing paths for vehicles. Tanks and half-tracks wait in the surf, engines roaring. The first waves reach the terrace top, 30 yards inland, and keep pushing toward Airfield No. 1, 200 yards ahead. Still nothing. Officers check their watches. This isn't right. Intelligence predicted immediate resistance. Where are the Japanese? Then Suribachi opens up. Every weapon on the southern volcano fires simultaneously. Artillery, mortars, heavy machine guns. The entire mountain erupts. Shells land among the Amtraks, still in the surf. Mortar rounds air burst over Marines on the beach. Machine gun fire rakes the terrace from bunkers, invisible until this moment. The northern plateau joins in. Artillery batteries that survived 74 days of bombardment emerge from caves and fire pre-plotted coordinates. Every square yard of beach is registered. Mortars drop rounds in steady rhythm, timed for maximum casualty effect. The Japanese aren't firing blindly. They're executing rehearsed fire plans with mechanical precision. Marines go down in clusters. Amtraks explode in the surf. The black sand erupts in geysers from impacting shells. Men scramble for cover, but there is no cover, just flat beach and volcanic ash. This is Kuribayashi's kill zone. He's let the Marines land. Let them bunch up on the beach. Let them commit vehicles and equipment. Now he's destroying them with coordinated fire from positions they cannot see and cannot suppress. The chaos is absolute. Radios crackle with casualty reports. Corpsmen drag wounded men toward the terrace, trying to find defilade from the machine gun fire. Officers scream orders, but the noise drowns everything. Explosions, screaming, the high-pitched whine of shells arcing overhead. The 5th Marine Division on the left pushes toward Suribachi. The 28th Marines, nearly 3,000 men, have orders to isolate the volcano and cut across the narrow neck of the island. They advance through concentrated fire from bunkers dug into the volcano's slopes. Every firing position is camouflaged. Pillboxes are covered with volcanic rock and sand, invisible until machine guns open up at point-blank range. Marines assault bunkers with flamethrowers and satchel charges. They destroy one position and immediately take fire from 2 more. The bunkers are connected by tunnels. Japanese defenders shift positions. Underground and reoccupy firing ports after Marines. Think a position is cleared. The 4th Marine Division on the right drives toward the rock quarry, a massive excavation that's been transformed into a fortress. Bunkers are carved into the quarry walls at multiple levels. Interlocking fire turns the entire area into an abattoir. Marines advance, go to ground, call for tank support. Tanks lumber forward through the volcanic sand and hit mines. Some break through, only to take fire from 47mm anti-tank guns hidden in caves. In the center, Marines push inland toward Airfield No. 1. The open ground is a nightmare. No cover, no concealment. Just flat volcanic plain swept by machine gun fire from the high ground ahead. Mortar rounds walk across the airfield in steady progression. Men sprint forward, dive flat, crawl, sprint again. Some don't make it. By 10 in the morning, elements of both divisions reach the western shore, 400 yards from the landing beaches. They've cut the island in half, but the cost is staggering. Casualties mount by the minute. The beach is jammed with wrecked vehicles, wounded men, and equipment piled in confusion. The volcanic sand defeats every attempt at organization. Vehicles bog down. Supply dumps sink into the ash. The entire beachhead is under observed fire from Suribachi and the northern ridges. Naval gunfire tries to suppress Japanese positions. Spotter planes identify targets and call in fire missions. Shells slam into Suribachi. Bombs drop on suspected artillery positions. It makes no difference. The Japanese fire from caves, roll back into the mountain, wait for the bombardment to lift, then roll forward and resume firing. You can't suppress what you can't see. Carrier aircraft strafe and bomb suspected strongpoints. Napalm splashes across bunker entrances. Some positions go silent. Most don't. The tunnel networks allow Japanese defenders to abandon one position and occupy another within minutes. Admiral Richmond Kelly Turner watches from the command ship offshore. He commanded the naval forces at Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan. He's seen amphibious assaults go wrong before, but this is different. The Japanese aren't counterattacking. They're not massing for banzai charges. They're just killing Marines with methodical precision from positions that refuse to die. By dusk, the Marines hold a beachhead 1,000 yards deep at the widest point. 30,000 men are ashore. So are their dead and wounded. Casualty figures are still being compiled, but everyone knows the numbers are bad. Aid stations overflow. Hospital ships take on wounded. The beach is choked with destroyed equipment. Marines dig in for the night. They scrape shallow fighting holes in the volcanic sand, knowing the positions offer minimal protection. Officers establish defensive perimeters. Artillery units set up firing positions and register defensive fires. Everyone expects a night attack. Banzai charges under cover of darkness. Standard Japanese doctrine. It never comes. Kuribayashi has forbidden it. No wasted attacks. No suicidal charges. His men stay in their positions and wait. Occasionally, a mortar barrage drops on Marine lines. Sometimes a sniper fires from a spider hole. But there's no massed assault. The Japanese are conserving strength and ammunition for tomorrow. The Marines don't sleep. They stare into the darkness, listening for movement. Every sound is a potential infiltrator. Nervous sentries fire at shadows. Artillery fires harassment missions at suspected Japanese positions throughout the night. On Suribachi's slopes, Japanese defenders watch the beach below. They see the Marines digging in. They see the confusion. They see the casualties being evacuated. And they know tomorrow will be worse because the Americans haven't even reached the main defensive belts yet. Everything today was just the outer perimeter. The real killing grounds are ahead in the ridges and ravines of the northern plateau where Kuribayashi has positioned his strongest forces. The Marines have paid in blood for 1,000 yards of volcanic sand. They have 7 more square miles to take, and every yard will cost more than the last. First day casualties, 2,420 Marines killed, wounded, or missing. The Navy planners who promised light resistance are silent now. February 20th, 1945, the 28th Marines begin the assault on Mount Suribachi at first light. 3 battalions, about 2,700 men, attacking a volcano held by 800 Japanese defenders, dug into 7 levels of tunnels. The mountain is only 550 feet high. The base measures roughly 1,000 yards across. In conventional warfare, this should take hours. On Iwo Jima, it takes 4 days. The Marines advance upslope into interlocking machine gun fire from bunkers they cannot locate until muzzle flashes give them away. Every bunker has multiple firing ports. Destroy one, and the defenders shift to another. Assault teams move forward with flamethrowers and demolition charges, the only weapons that work against fortified positions. The technique is brutal and precise. Riflemen suppress the bunker with covering fire. The flamethrower operator moves within range, usually 20 yards, and sends a stream of burning fuel through the firing port. If the defenders don't die from flames, they die from oxygen deprivation, as fire consumes the air inside. Then engineers push forward with satchel charges, canvas bags packed with composition C2 explosive. They light the fuse, throw the charge into the bunker entrance, take cover. The explosion collapses the position or kills anyone inside who survived the flames. It works, but it's slow and lethal for the assault teams. Japanese defenders target flamethrower operators first. They carry 70 pounds of napalm on their backs in pressurized tanks. One rifle round in the right place turns a man into a fireball. Demolition men are second priority targets. Machine gunners and riflemen provide covering fire, but the ranges are so close that firefights happen at 30 yards or less. The Marines advance 200 yards the first day. They count 40 bunkers destroyed. 40 more reveal themselves the next morning, while the 28th Marines grind up Suribachi. The 4th and 5th Divisions push north toward the uncompleted Airfield No. 2 and the high ground beyond. This is where Kuribayashi has concentrated his strongest defenses. The terrain is volcanic chaos. Ridges, ravines, gorges, and rocky outcroppings with no vegetation and no cover except the folds in the ground itself. Every ridge is fortified. Every ravine is a kill zone. Bunkers are positioned on reverse slopes, invisible from the front, immune to direct fire. Attackers have to close within grenade range to engage them. The 4th Marine Division advances toward a complex of 3 fortified positions that will become known, collectively, as the Meat Grinder. Hill 382 dominates the center, a rocky outcropping honeycombed with caves and bunkers. To the left sits the amphitheater, a natural bowl surrounded by ridges, transformed into a strong point with interconnected firing positions. To the right sprawls Turkey Knob, a hill mass with bunkers dug into multiple levels. These positions are mutually supporting. Advance on one and you take fire from the others. Artillery and mortars fire from positions behind them. The entire complex is designed to channel attackers into predetermined kill zones where converging fire makes movement suicidal. Marines attack Hill 382 on February 21. They advance 100 yards and stop. Casualties are immediate and heavy. Machine gun fire comes from positions that didn't exist minutes ago. Defenders emerging from tunnels to reoccupy bunkers the Marines thought were destroyed. Mortar fire drops with uncanny accuracy. Japanese observers on Hill 382's summit call in fire missions on every Marine movement. Tank infantry teams become the primary assault formation. Shermans move forward with Marines following close behind, using the tanks as mobile cover. The tanks engage bunkers with 75mm guns at point-blank range. Machine gun fire from infantry pins down Japanese riflemen, while flamethrower teams close the distance. But tanks are vulnerable. The volcanic sand clogs engines and breaks tracks. Mines destroy several. Japanese close assault teams emerge from spider holes with magnetic mines and pole charges, slapping explosives on tank hulls before Marines can react. Some tanks advance over hidden positions, then take fire from behind as Japanese soldiers emerge from concealed tunnels. The fighting develops a rhythm. Marines advance, Japanese fire from concealed positions. Marines go to ground and call for support. Artillery and airstrikes hammer suspected strong points. The fire lifts. Marines advance again, and the Japanese reoccupy the same positions through tunnels that survived the bombardment. This is three-dimensional warfare. The enemy isn't just in front, he's below. Spider holes appear in areas already cleared by previous advances. Japanese soldiers hide in tunnels for hours, then emerge behind Marine lines to attack command posts, supply dumps, and artillery positions. Marines adapt. They stop bypassing bunkers. Every position must be destroyed, then destroyed again. Engineers pour gasoline into tunnel entrances and ignite it. They pump seawater into cave systems to drown defenders. They seal entrances with explosives and bulldozers. Nothing works completely. The tunnel networks are too extensive, too interconnected. The 5th Marine Division pushes toward Hill 362A, another fortified complex on the western side of the island. The approaches are swept by machine gun fire from the high ground. Marines advance through a landscape of volcanic rock and ash with no cover except shell craters. Japanese artillery observers on the hill call in fire missions with devastating accuracy. The division loses 500 men in 2 days fighting for a hill 200 feet high. Flamethrowers become the weapon of choice. The Marines brought portable flamethrowers, 70-pound packs with a 40-yard range. They're effective, but expose the operator to concentrated fire, so engineers improvise. They mount Navy flamethrowers on Sherman tanks, creating Zippo tanks with 150-yard range and armored protection for the crew. The flame tanks move forward, hosing bunkers and cave entrances with burning fuel. Some Japanese positions are silenced, others wait until the tanks pass, then reoccupy from connecting tunnels. By February 23rd, 4 days after the landing, the 28th Marines reach Suribachi's summit. A 40-man patrol climbs to the top, secures the crater rim, and raises a small American flag. 3 hours later, a larger flag goes up, photographed by Joe Rosenthal in the image that will become the most famous photograph of World War II. The flag raising boosts morale across the island. Marines see the stars and stripes flying from Suribachi and believe the battle is half over. It's not. Suribachi is neutralized, but 20,000 Japanese defenders remain dug into the northern plateau. The bloodiest fighting is still ahead. The 3rd Marine Division, held in reserve until now, lands and joins the push north. All 3 divisions advance line abreast into Kuribayashi's main defensive belt. Progress is measured in yards. Some days, gains amount to 50 yards. The cost is staggering, 100 casualties per 50 yards gained. The terrain becomes the enemy. A position called the amphitheater takes 3 days to capture. Turkey Knob resists for a week. Hill 382 doesn't fall until February 27th. And even then, Japanese defenders remain in the tunnels below, firing at Marines who thought the hill was secure. Nightly, Japanese infiltrators emerge from tunnels to raid Marine positions. They target command posts and artillery batteries. Some attacks are small, 3 or 4 men with grenades and demolition charges. Others involve 50 men in coordinated assaults. None are banzai charges. These are calculated raids designed to inflict casualties and disrupt operations before withdrawing back into the tunnel networks. The Marines call in massive firepower. Naval guns fire 24 hours a day at suspected positions. Artillery batteries hurl thousands of shells at strong points. Carrier aircraft drop napalm and bombs. Battleships fire 2,000-pound shells into cave entrances. Kuribayashi's defenses absorb it all. The volcanic rock withstands everything except direct hits on bunker entrances, and even then, the tunnels behind remain intact. By the end of February, the Marines control 2/3 of the island, but casualties exceed 13,000. The 5-day operation is approaching 2 weeks with no end in sight, and in the northern plateau, Kuribayashi still commands thousands of defenders in a labyrinth of positions the Marines haven't even reached yet. March 1st, 1945, Tenom. Days after the invasion, the Marines enter Kuribayashi's final defensive zone, a nightmare landscape called the Gorge. It's a system of rocky ravines and ridges in the island's northern sector, maybe 700 yards long and 200 yards wide. Sheer cliffs, boulder fields, jumbled volcanic rock creating natural choke points and defiles. Kuribayashi has transformed every yard into interlocking fortifications, connected by tunnels carved deep into the rock face. The 3rd Marine Division attacks straight into it. Progress stops completely. The gorge isn't a position, it's a complex of hundreds of positions. Bunkers carved into cliff faces at multiple levels. Machine guns firing from caves 30 feet above the ravine floor. Mortars positioned on reverse slopes. Rifle pits dug into boulder fields with overlapping fields of fire. Snipers concealed in crevices. The entire area is pre-registered for artillery and mortar fire from positions farther north. Marines enter the ravines and take fire from 3 dimensions, front flanks above. They take cover behind boulders and discover Japanese defenders in spider holes beneath them. They suppress 1 bunker and take fire from 2 more connected by tunnels. They advance 20 yards and lose half a squad. Conventional tactics fail. Artillery can't reach bunkers carved into cliff faces. Airstrikes drop bombs, but the rocky terrain absorbs the explosions. Even flamethrowers have limited effect. Some caves are too deep, the flame can't reach defenders positioned 50 feet back from the entrance, so the Marines adapt again. They bring up armored bulldozers to collapse cave entrances. They lower satchel charges on ropes to bunkers carved into cliff faces. They use flamethrower tanks to hose entire cliff sections with burning fuel. They pour thousands of gallons of gasoline into tunnel entrances and ignite it, trying to suffocate defenders in the connected chambers below. The fighting becomes intimate and primal. Marines and Japanese soldiers fight with knives, entrenching tools, pistols at arm's length inside caves. Some bunkers are cleared with grenades tossed through firing ports, then stormed by Marines with bayonets. Bodies pile up in confined spaces. The sulfur smell mixes with cordite and burned flesh. The 5th Marine Division pushes along the western coast toward Kitano Point, the island's northwestern tip. The terrain here is broken ground, ravines, and rocky outcroppings. Every position is fortified. Every advance costs casualties. The division loses 1,500 men in 5 days, gaining 500 yards. The 4th Marine Division grinds through the eastern sector. Similar terrain, same brutal attrition. Tank infantry teams move yard by yard, destroying positions one at a time. When a bunker is destroyed, engineers seal the entrance with explosives and bulldozers to prevent reoccupation. When a cave is cleared, they pump it full of smoke and watch for vents, marking every opening for demolition. The Japanese are running out of everything: ammunition, water, medical supplies, food, but they don't surrender. Kuribayashi's orders are absolute: fight until death. By early March, organized resistance is collapsing into isolated pockets, but each pocket fights as if the entire island's defense depends on it. Some defenders are reduced to throwing rocks when ammunition runs out. Others rig grenades with tripwires, turning their own corpses into booby traps. Wounded Japanese soldiers detonate grenades when Marines approach to offer medical aid. Nothing is predictable. Nothing is safe. American casualties mount relentlessly. By March 10th, the total exceeds 16,000. The 3 Marine divisions are combat ineffective by standard metrics. Some rifle companies are at 50% strength. Fresh replacements arrive daily, sent directly into combat with minimal orientation. The replacements die at the same rate as veterans. But the island is falling slowly, yard by yard, cave by cave. On March 16th, 25 days into the battle, the 3rd Marine Division reaches the northeastern coast. The island is secure by any conventional definition. Organized resistance has ended. The American flag flies over the entire island, except the battle isn't over. 3,000 Japanese defenders remain alive in the tunnel networks. They're cut off, surrounded without supplies or communication. But they don't surrender. They hide in caves during the day and emerge at night to raid Marine positions, steal supplies, and kill isolated sentries. The Marines shift to mopping up operations, systematically sealing caves and clearing tunnels. It's slow, dangerous work. Engineers blast cave entrances with demolitions. Bulldozers bury bunker openings. Flamethrowers burn out positions. Some caves are simply sealed with the defenders inside, entombed alive in volcanic rock. On March 26th, 35 days after the first Marines hit the beach, the island is declared secure 5 weeks after the landing. 31 days longer than the 5-day prediction, General Kuribayashi is dead. Probably. His body is never identified. Intelligence believes he committed ritual suicide sometime in mid-March after sending a final message to Tokyo. The battle is over. We have not succeeded in defending the island. I apologize to the Emperor. Some accounts claim he led a final attack on March 26th. Others say he died earlier in his command bunker. The truth dies with him in the volcanic rock Japanese casualties, approximately 18,000 dead. Only 216 prisoners taken, mostly Korean laborers and wounded men captured unconscious. The remaining 2,000 defenders are buried in sealed caves or died in the tunnels from wounds, starvation, or suicide. American casualties: 6 behind 21 killed in action. 19,217 wounded. Total 26,38 casualties. more American casualties than Japanese defenders on the island. It's the only Pacific battle where American losses exceed Japanese losses. 27 Medals of Honor are awarded, more than any single battle in American history. 13 are posthumous, but Iwo Jima accomplishes its strategic objectives. By April 1945, P-51 Mustangs are flying escort missions from the island's captured airfields. B-29s make emergency landings. Eventually, 2,400 bombers will land on Iwo Jima with combat damage or mechanical failures. The crews saved number more than 24,000 airmen. The island becomes an essential link in the air campaign against Japan. Yet the cost reshapes American strategic thinking. If Iwo Jima, 8 square miles of volcanic rock, required 5 weeks and 26,000 casualties to capture, what will invading Japan cost? The Japanese home islands contain 140,000 square miles and 70 million people. If they defend it with Kuribayashi's tactics, American casualties could reach the millions. The battle for Iwo Jima helps convince American leadership that Operation Downfall, the planned invasion of Japan, is untenable. The calculations are brutal but simple. If 8 square miles cost 26,000 casualties, then 140,000 square miles defended by millions of soldiers and civilians armed with the same fanaticism would produce casualty figures beyond acceptability. 5 months later, atomic bombs fall on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan surrenders without invasion. Whether that decision was influenced by Iwo Jima's Butcher's Bill is debated. But the battle demonstrated one irrefutable fact. Defending prepared positions with determined troops could inflict casualties beyond any advantage gained by taking the ground. The Marines who fought on Iwo Jima carry it forever. The volcanic sand, the sulfur smell, the caves, the bodies stacked like cordwood on the beaches. The friends who died for 50 yards of lifeless rock. Admiral Chester Nimitz writes, "Among the Americans who served on Iwo Island, uncommon valor was a common virtue. It's the only monument that matters, because no words can capture what those 70,000 Marines endured for 5 weeks on 8 square miles of volcanic hell. That one brilliant Japanese general transformed into the most lethal fortress in the Pacific War, the last known Japanese holdout, surrenders in 1949, 4 years after the battle ended. He emerges from a cave still wearing his uniform, still believing the war continues. The island remembers, the tunnels remain, and the black sand holds 6,821 reasons why Iwo Jima changed everything.